3 display panels, $3,000, and 3 things I like and don't like about the Samsung Galaxy Z TriFold. Let's get into it. This is All Things Mobile. The Galaxy Z TriFold is a very unique and niche device. Unlike other foldable phones like the Galaxy Z Fold 7 or the Z Flip, this one is a true phone-tablet hybrid. There is a 6.5-inch cover screen as well as a sprawling 10-inch main display on the inside. Now, I have been using this phone for 2 weeks, and I've been keeping tabs on all the things I really enjoy and also some things I am not so crazy about. And through it all, I seek to answer one fundamental question. Who is this phone really for? Let's start with one of my favorite things about the Galaxy Z TriFold. I really do like that this is a foldable that feels like a true tablet when it's open. Book-style foldables like the Z Fold 7 occupy this middle ground where, yes, there's a roomy 8-inch main display, but that's not really the size of a tablet. If you do want that 2-in-1 device, the TriFold's 10-inch main display is a better fit since it's only slightly smaller than, say, an iPad Air. With the TriFold, having up to 3 apps open simultaneously doesn't feel as crammed, and watching movies is a much more elevated experience than on the Z Fold 7 because of how much bigger it is. And it really is like night and day when you prop this thing open, as if you switch to a whole other device. And in the end, it still folds shut and fits in your pocket or bag. Now, you can't have light without dark, and you can't have good without bad. So here's something that I didn't really like so much about the TriFold. Using this phone while it's closed feels a little too dense for me. And dense is really the word that comes to mind because there is a lot packed into this 12.9 millimeter thickness. You've got 3 panels stacked together, and paired with an otherwise standard width display, those dimensions just feel a little incongruous. The TriFold is also, unsurprisingly, notably heavier than the Z Fold 7. The TriFold clocks in at 309 grams, while the Z Fold 7 is 215 grams, and you definitely feel the difference. Now, the TriFold isn't a brick or anything, but the perk of the Z Fold 7 is that it feels impressively like a normal phone when it's closed, but I can't really say the same thing about the TriFold, and that's okay because it's a totally different device. But just know that if you are drawn to the bigger main display on the TriFold, you'll also be feeling the difference when it's folded shut. Now let me go back to my second favorite thing about the TriFold, the camera. I have been blown away by the shots I've taken on this thing, and it's really a testament to how far the cameras on foldables have come. The TriFold has the same camera specs as the Z Fold 7, a 200 megapixel wide angle, 12 megapixel ultra wide, and 10 megapixel telephoto camera on the back. There are also 2 10 megapixel selfie cameras, one on the cover display and one on the main display. This phone did a great job handling everything from nighttime shots to concert photos with uneven lighting. I love how balanced the colors are throughout, and nothing seems drastically oversaturated. I have really enjoyed snapping pictures with this guy, and I am glad the camera wasn't something that I had to compromise on. I only really take pictures with the TriFold when it's closed because I don't want to look like an iPad mom, but I like looking through the photos afterwards on the larger inside display. But let's go back to my second con. Speaking of the inside display, one thing that disappointed me is that not all apps look great on that main display. When I open up Instagram, for example, pictures and videos look grainy because they have a lot of space to cover. Using apps like X or DoorDash on the main display feels a little unnecessary because they aren't formatted to fill that space. But I can tap these arrows to shift the on-screen content so it's a little bit easier to scroll. And in all fairness, the examples I just listed are things you would normally do on a phone and not necessarily a tablet. So I kind of have to reframe how I'm looking at this thing depending on the configuration. I love watching videos on the TriFold. I think it's a much better experience than on the smaller Z Fold 7, and multitasking actually makes sense here. And I like browsing through my gallery on the main display and seeing the details closer up. So different screens for different uses, I can live with that, but I do hope more apps become compatible with the main display in future versions of this phone. Now, going back to the third thing I liked about the TriFold, the battery life. That was a nice surprise. This is good news for anyone who's skeptical given how thin this phone is. The battery still does a good job of holding up throughout the day. The TriFold has a 5,600 milliamp hour battery, which is a pretty notable improvement over the 4,400 milliamp hour battery on the Z Fold 7. It helps that there's a whole other display panel to help house that 3-cell battery. I can go about a day and a half on the TriFold on a single charge, even after taking a bunch of pictures, streaming videos, scrolling through Instagram, and texting. Now, an important caveat is that I tend to mostly use the cover screen on this phone, which can help preserve battery life. Most of the things I regularly do, like texting or swiping through social media, don't merit using a massive 10-inch display. I'll typically only switch to that when multitasking or watching movies. But even when I regularly hop between those two configurations, the battery holds up well. And when it's time to recharge, 45-watt fast charging can get me from 0% to 61% in half an hour, which is pretty impressive. And finally, let's go to one of my least favorite elements, con number 3. Typing on the main display is hard. I have pretty big hands, but I have to stretch my fingers to be able to type in this format, even with the split keyboard making things a little bit easier. It's all the more reason to stick to the cover screen when texting or browsing social media. I'm not really sure what the solution is here other than connecting a keyboard or setting the phone down and typing on it like a keyboard, but it's just something to be aware of, especially if you have smaller hands, because if I'm struggling, know that you will be too. So with all of this in mind, and after spending a good chunk of time with the Z TriFold, who is the target audience of this very niche product? Personally, I'm not sure there's much of a use case for someone like me who mostly uses a phone for social media, texting, and taking pictures. But if you watch a lot of content on your phone, the TriFold can really elevate that viewing experience. I also think this can be a good phone for business users who want something that's kind of like a mini laptop without any of the bulk. Like any new phone, there are going to be growing pains. But this does really feel like what foldables have been working toward, a true hybrid device that doesn't compromise on cameras or battery life and that fits neatly in your pocket. Is the TriFold worth nearly $3,000? I have a hard time justifying that price for practically any device, so I'm going to include that in the cons pile, but hopefully that's something that's even slightly remedied with the next version as the tech advances. But I'm curious to know your thoughts. Are you planning to buy the TriFold, or is one display good enough for you? Let me know in the comments and be sure to hit like and subscribe for more on all things mobile. Thanks for watching.